Welcome to the Core Connections podcast on YouTube. Hey, I'm Erica Zeal. I'm a nutrition coach, Pilates instructor, fashion worker, mom of 3, creator of the Core Rehab program, Core Athletica, instructor training programs, and the Nocta Fitness membership. And my Core Connections podcast is designed so that I can help share information with you to help improve your quality of life. So tune in to this episode. So what is the best nutrition plan? There's keto, paleo, vegetarian, vegan, Atkins diet, counting calories, Weight Watchers. There's so many diets that are out there, right? But what really is the best one? So I'm going to share with you some of my personal and professional opinions today, as I have done a lot of nutrition teaching and coaching and learning over the years, along with obviously my movement coaching. And it's dramatically changed over the years. So way back in college, I started out in the dietetics program, which I soon realized was not for me, because you learn the ins and outs of calories. Calories this, calories that. At least that's the way it was then. I'm sure things have changed a little bit. So I realized, I don't want to be counting calories the rest of my life. So I was out of that, continued on the movement path, and then continued, learning more and more about nutrition over the years, taking this course, that course, and I was really immersed in more what you would call sports nutrition, which was really taught to eat every 2 to 3 hours, which I used to firmly believe you had to eat every 2 to 3 hours. You couldn't skip breakfast, this, that, and what have you. And it wasn't about counting calories. It was just about feeding your body every 2 to 3 hours, making sure you had breakfast. Maybe it was more about stopping eating at 8 o'clock at night or whatever it may be. I have since dramatically kind of changed my thought process on that. And I know a lot of people are still in that eating every 2 to 3 hours. And not that that's bad for you, but I challenge you to start to listen to your body. And when we move into a more holistic approach to nutrition and fueling our body for what our body really needs, and because our body is always changing and evolving, we can improve the way we feel and move through our nutrition. Right? And many times we're eating things that are not optimal for our body. And if we're not fueling our body correctly, then we might be experiencing, bloating and brain fog and fatigue and things like that. So nutrition plays such a huge role in our overall wellness and health and quality of life, right? So moving into a more holistic approach of nutrition, number one, it's all really about listening to your body, first and foremost. And if you eat something and your body doesn't respond well, then we should maybe consider, let's maybe remove that for right now. And when we take foods out, it's not always about a forever thing. It's just a right now, let's kind of reset our body. And do we really need to be eating every 2 to 3 hours? I don't know. Everybody's body's different. Maybe some people need to eat more often than others. And there's a lot of things, and I'm not going to get into a lot of specifics today. This is just an overview of, if you need to eat more often, maybe that's a sign that our adrenals are a little sluggish, so we're looking for energy from food versus our adrenals and thyroid functioning more appropriately. Okay. Then the other thing with eating every 2 to 3 hours versus a more holistic approach is when we're eating often, our gut never gets a chance to just chill out. And so in the more holistic approach, we can talk about intermittent fasting. Is it for everybody? I don't know. Do some people flourish off of that? Absolutely, right? So we give our body a little bit more time in between meals. You might actually notice that you feel more energized. Okay, but we have to be focusing on what we're feeding our body. It's not about counting calories. It's about fueling our body in general. And this is what I teach in my new core nutrition program. It's not a diet, it's a lifestyle plan and program. And it can look a little bit different for everybody, right? But the base of it, at the base, eating lots of vegetables, right? When we read and we learn about how are people preventing and healing cancers, well, you need to eat a lot of vegetables. I'm not saying we go extreme in that prevention, because that's probably not a realistic way of life and nutrition for most people. but eating a lot of vegetables, eating good quality fats and a good amount of them, because fats keep you full and keep you satisfied, and they help your brain function. And our mind is so intertwined and connected with our body. So if our brain isn't functioning optimally, our body probably isn't functioning optimally. If our gut isn't functioning optimally, then our brain and our body, and anyway, it's all connected, right? And the fascia does get involved with this, but sticking more with the nutrition topic today, thinking about these things, like starting to listen to your body. Do you really need to be eating as often as you're eating? Would you feel better if you started your day off right with more vegetables, more fats? Or are you someone that maybe can feel just fine going till 10, 11, 12 without food, right? There's from time to time, I typically eat breakfast, but occasionally if I don't, or occasionally there's a day I eat breakfast and I go a longer period during the middle of the day before I have lunch, I might feel just fine, right? So sometimes it's about experimenting with our body, listening to our body. What foods are we eating that are fueling and nourishing our body? And again, going back to lots of vegetables, good quality fats. You cannot go wrong with that. I've yet to meet a person that doesn't do well off of eating that way. Now, it's gonna look a little bit different, but at the base of the recipes and the coaching that I do, it's lots of vegetables, fats, berries are really good, some fruit from time to time. There's nothing wrong with some carbohydrates. Our brain functions off of using carbs. So it's not about being afraid of them, it's about understanding how much does our body really need. And we don't have to count them, we can listen to our body, and things need to be cyclical. When we start kind of talking about, keto and being super high fat, super low carb, well, that's something that's not really a sustainable thing you want to stay in all the time. Being cyclical, it's okay that your nutrition can kind of morph and evolve and change as you're learning and growing and changing with it. I can tell you my nutrition today is different and way better than 10 years ago when I thought I was eating healthy. And I was eating healthy, but it's so much better today. And so it's this journey that we're all on to learn and grow, and I love that I'm here to help teach you. And one last thing that I want to talk about when it comes to listening to our body, fueling our body, is sugar and toxins, chemicals, the additives that get snuck into a lot of foods, processed foods, things like that, which is why it's so important that we really try to minimize the processed foods, because those can be really wreaking havoc on your body, on your gut function, and on your brain function. So really bringing it back to the basics, vegetables, fats, so some good quality proteins. And do you need protein? I don't know. In my professional opinion, I feel like we should eat about 80-ish% vegetarian, but adding protein as we need it. So again, it's listening to your body. I know I used to eat a lot more protein when I was younger, felt great on it. As I've gotten a little bit older, a little bit wiser, learning more and being more in tune with my body, I'm realizing that I do a little bit better with some plant-based proteins and adding, I eat protein every day from chicken, fish, I'll even eat some beef from time to time, but it's really has come back to me listening to my body, right? So if you circle back to that and really hone in and become aware, awareness is a big first step in so many things that I talk about, especially with our body and our gut. And if we're feeling a little sluggish, well, let's look at the foods that we're eating and the amount that we're eating. Are we eating enough? Are we not eating enough? Are we eating too often? Do we need to leave a little bit more space, right? If you're snacking a lot, maybe tune into the fact, are we snacking too often because I'm not eating enough fat with my meals? Okay, so just some things to think about and to ponder. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you have a friend that would benefit from listening to this, please share that with them and pop up over on iTunes to leave me a review. Thank you all so much. See you next time.